Hi everyone, welcome to Gadgets with Gurman. I'm Mark, and today we're going to be taking a look at the latest Fitbit Alta, the Alta HR. So let's dive right in and let me tell you what I think about it. It's a great fitness wearable for someone who's looking for their first fitness gadget to put on their wrist. But obviously I still have my thoughts about the smartwatch market and the band market overall, and we'll dive into that. But first, if you can please send in your questions about Fitbit, the new Alta, the Apple Watch, smartwatches in general, and we'll answer them across the show. So please do that. You can send them to us on Twitter and Facebook. So let's zoom in on the product first. So Jim, let's take a look here. This is the Fitbit Alta HR. And I actually changed the straps. So sort of like the Apple Watch, the straps are interchangeable. I actually have a friend who has another Fitbit who changes her color every week to match her outfit. So she has 7 different ones and changes it all the time. But this one, this is the leather strap. I really like this one. I'm more of a classic mechanical watch person, and this is a good blend for me, but it does come with the standard plastic strap. So let's put this down and take a closer look at the interface here on our Gadgets with Gurman table. So as you can see, you can just tap it once, or you can just move your hand like this, sort of like the Apple Watch, and it will tell you the time, the day, and then you can tap it once, and you tap it hard, and you can go between the different things. So first you can check your steps. I've walked almost 1.5 thousand steps today, and as you know, you kind of want to hit 10,000 a day, but it's still early. It could tell you your resting heart rate, and that's the new part of this. It can actually tell your heart rate as a heart rate sensor, and we'll dive into that. And it could show you a few other things, such as your activity, how many minutes you exercise per day, similar to the Apple Watch, but overall it's a great experience to quickly jump between the two different tasks it can show you that you're doing here. So let's take this off. I want to show you the heart rate sensor because that's really what this one is really about. So on the back here, you can see the green lights lighting up right here. You don't want to look into it with your actual eyes, but you should be fine on the screen. And that's actually taking your resting heart rate. And obviously your heart rate will go up and down depending on what activity you're doing. So that's that. Now, the cool thing about this thing is that it doesn't take up too much space on your wrist. We have a few other Fitbits here. We have the Fitbit Blaze, which is almost like a smartwatch because it has the big screen. We have the Charge 2, and we have the Flex. What I really like about the Flex, as well as the Alta and the Alta HR, is that it doesn't take up too much space on your wrist. I feel like you can even wear it on the same wrist as a mechanical watch. If you want to put it right next to it, it doesn't look too bad. Or you can put a mechanical watch on one wrist and one of these 2 Fitbits on the other wrist, and it actually looks pretty good. It doesn't look like you're wearing 2 watches. It might look a little ridiculous. So if I was wearing a mechanical watch on one wrist and this digital one on the other one, it might not look too great. But I think you're safe with the Alta or the Flex, so I think that's actually a really good selling point. If someone doesn't want to put away their mechanical watch, you might want to get one of those as well. So over the old Alta, which is $20 less than this new one, the new one is $150. The old one doesn't have heart rate, and it also doesn't have a feature called sleep stages and more advanced sleep tracking, which we'll get into a little bit later in the show. And for comparison, for here on our table, so the Charge 2 costs $149, so it's the same price as the Alta. But the main difference is that the Charge 2 has connected GPS. So that means you can actually go on a run and get GPS tracking for more accurate mapping of where you ran. But it does require your phone. So like the original Apple Watch, you have to have your phone with you, and then it could use the connection between the 2 devices and give you your route on a map, and it can integrate with apps and all that. The Alta doesn't do that. And they are the same price. So if you're someone who wants to take your phone on a run and you really need that GPS, you might want to look at the Charge. But if you're looking for that additional flexibility, the band interchanging these cool little leather bands, and you want to wear it alongside a mechanical watch, the Alta is pretty good for you. The Flex is a little bit cheaper at under $100, so it's $99, but you don't get a screen on it. The Alta having a screen is a big deal. With this, you get your steps and your calories and the activity count, but you have to view it through the Fitbit app. We'll dive into that a little bit later. We have our first question coming in here. Is it waterproof? Yes, so it is waterproof, and if you're going to shower with it or go through, deep diving with it, I would recommend not using the leather straps. These are pretty good materials, but leather over time might degrade in water. So if you're looking to do swimming with it and all that, showering with it on a daily basis, you might want to get one of those leather, non-leather straps, some of the plastic straps. Here's another question. What kind of alarm features does it have? Can it record your sleep patterns? That's a great question, and we're going to jump into that a little bit later, but since you're asking, we'll dive into it a little bit now. So in the Fitbit app, and you can see here on our table, you can actually go into the panel here where you get all your different settings for the Fitbit, and there's a section called Silent Alarms. Now, this is our first pro tip because I really love this feature and I've been using it. You can set in a time here, right? And you can put whatever time you want to wake up. For me, maybe it's 5:30 a.m. a.m., not p.m. Don't want to mess that up. Don't want to miss work. And so basically at 5:30 a.m., the Fitbit will actually buzz to wake you up. It buzzes a few times. I find it to be a little light. I wish there was a setting to be able to make the intensity a little bit higher so you don't miss waking up. Or using the sleep tracking sensor, which we'll get into a little bit later, to know if you woke up or not, right? And to keep buzzing you till you wake up. Sort of like if you stay in a hotel and they keep calling you if you have a wake-up call until you wake up. That would be a cool feature if they enhanced it a bit. But it's actually really handy and useful for this particular line of fitness bands, the Fitbit Alta, because of the battery life. The battery life is about a week here, so you don't have to charge it every day. The Apple Watch has a silent alarm feature as well that works pretty much the same way, but because the battery life is about 1 day at most, some people get 1 to 2 days, it's not really useful because if you charge it overnight, why does the feature where you can get sleep tracking and the silent alarm really matter? Perhaps it's good for naps, and I have used it when I wore an Apple Watch for that, but because you only have to charge this about once a week, 5 to 7 days, it actually is pretty useful here, and I consider that a really big benefit of this overall, the silent alarm combined with the battery life. Another great question, can you compare this to the Fitbit Surge? Well, my take on the Fitbit Alta is that this is the fitness band for everyone. This is if you want to track steps, calories, sleep tracking. It's basic in its functionality. It doesn't really do a great job, nor do any fitness or smartwatch trackers, of telling you about your progress and what this data actually means. It's mostly a set of numbers, but it works for everyone. The Fitbit Surge is for your more intense runner, your more intense athlete. It actually has built-in GPS. So unlike the Charge 2, which allows you to do GPS tracking if you have your phone, this Surge, you can leave your phone behind and do a full-on run. It also has a little bit of a bigger screen, faster. It works well for that athlete. We don't actually have one on here. We're comparing between the less expensive models, the ones for mass consumers. But if you are a hardcore runner or athlete, you want to give the Surge a look because GPS is pretty much essential to any of those activities. And combined with the heart rate sensor, you really get good output in terms of how many calories you're running or you're burning while you're running because it combines all of that data. Now, another really key feature of the Alta is the sleep tracking function. I want to show you that. So it uses the heart rate sensor on the Alta HR, and this is why the old one couldn't do this. And with the heart rate sensor, it actually is able to analyze when you fall asleep, when you wake up, and that period of sleep in between. So it will know when you fall asleep, maybe 11 p.m., know you wake up around 6 a.m., and it will tell you how well you slept. That's the difference. The old models, the ones with the without heart rate sensors, were able to tell you when you fell asleep, when you woke up, all that, but it didn't really measure quality of sleep. Now, quality of sleep is really important because you could sleep as many hours as you want, but if that's bad sleep, not high quality sleep, you'll feel tired the next day anyways. So I want to show you some screenshots here of the sleep tracking functionality. So this example, this screenshot we have here, the time of sleep was nearly 8 hours, but it also separates your sleep into 3 categories, into deep sleep, light sleep, and REM. So REM is rapid eye movement sleep, when your eyes are twitching throughout the night. That's when you're getting a really good amount of sleep. Most people range between 15 and 25% of that. We spoke with a Fitbit sleep expert who explained this to us the other day, light sleep and deep sleep. So it really helps you categorize how your sleep is throughout the night, in addition to just telling you how long you slept. The thing about sleep tracking, though, is that it's not an exact science, right? If you're just using an everyday fitness tracker like the Fitbit Alta, it's not a medical grade device. So if you're not in an actual lab, a hospital and whatnot, this is not really a 100% for certain judgment of how your sleep was. But it's a good indicator, and if you're noticing a problem, you can act on this on your own, going to a doctor or whatnot, looking for better ways to sleep and get some more REM or deep sleep and lighten up on that light sleep. Good way to measure how much you're sleeping, if you're getting enough sleep, It also can tell you how long it took you to fall asleep. So if you're looking to fall asleep quicker, you might want to get an eye mask or something like that if it's, if it's light getting and that's preventing you to sleep. So it doesn't tell you exactly what's going on. It doesn't give you exact numbers, but it's actually a really good indicator. And for the price, combined with the other features, it's actually a pretty cool gizmo to wear at night. I've actually worn it for the last few nights myself. And, that's another question we have in here. Would I wear this regularly after the show? Yes, I would, and I certainly plan on getting a Alta HR of my own. I really do like wearing a mechanical watch, some of you may know, and I think this is a really good one to wear either next to it or on my other wrist. I wouldn't particularly get a Blaze because I don't want to replace my mechanical watch, but I really like the functionality and the price of the Alta HR, so I definitely would wear it. And again, I do recommend it for, the everyday fitness tracker, not the ultimate athlete, but just the everyday person like you and me. Another question, does it rely 100% on your phone, or can it record GPS, steps, heart rate without a phone? That's a really good question, and that's going to help us get to our another pro tip here. Yes, you can record your heart rate, your steps, all that with the fitness band itself, and then it syncs to the Fitbit app. In terms of GPS, no, the Alta HR does not get GPS data. The Surge has a built-in GPS, and the Charge 2 has connected GPS, which means that you can go on a run, but you have to have your phone with you. I've seen people wear their phones on their arms. I have actually one of those straps, or some people are able to keep it in their pocket or strap it elsewhere. But yes, you do need a phone for GPS on the Charge 2, not on the Surge, and it doesn't work at all on the Alta itself. Now that jumps into another pro tip of ours. So for those Apple fans out there, you might be familiar with the Health app that comes on every iPhone starting a few years ago with iOS 8. So the Health app is basically a general repository of your health data. You can put in calories, food intake, water intake, all sorts of stuff, many different things you may have not even heard of. But here's the problem. Fitbit does not sync with it. It syncs exclusively, for the most part, in terms of the big health repositories with its own Fitbit app. But for this pro tip, there is actually a way to get your Fitbit data to your Health app. Now, first, why would you want to do that? Well, let's say you have a bunch of fitness devices that are all compatible with the Health app. You'd be able to jump in with all of them and see them all in the Health app. So how do you do that? Well, in the App Store, there's actually a bunch of Fitbit-related health kit apps. So there's some ones that cost $5, a few dollars. I found a free one here, and you just launch the app. This one's called Power Sync. You might want to check that out. And you basically just click Sync Now, and it will take all your data from the Fitbit, it will sync it to the Fitbit app, and then it will actually transfer all the data from the Fitbit app to the Health app itself. And in the Health app, you can turn on all the categories and view it. It's actually really cool, a really easy step if you want to get all of your data in one Health app. Fitbit says it's always looking into adding additional repositories such as the Health app, but the Health app has been out for a few years now and there's no official Fitbit integration. So this is basically the best you're going to get if you want your Fitbit data in the Health app for now. And if you want to sync on a consistent basis, there's an in-app purchase for $2 in this app. Or I don't really see the problem with jumping in and clicking the Sync Now button. And it's telling me to go in here to the Health app to approve all this. The Health app, as you know, is very secure. You have to do everything manually because, Apple doesn't want other apps able to read your data. It's all very secure and encrypted onto the phone. Another question here, which Fitbit has the best battery life? Now, battery life is a really important conversation when you're looking at the smartwatch market and the Fitbit market and the fitness wearable market. Why? Because if the battery has to be recharged on a constant basis, you might want to stop wearing it. Right now, I don't wear an Apple Watch because I got a little tired of having to charge it every night. Sometimes I would forget to charge it, but this Fitbit makes it a little bit easier because it gets between 5 and 7 days. I've seen some variation between the other Fitbits, but for the most part, you're going to be able to get several day battery life on these things, especially if you turn off the constant heart rate monitoring. Heart rate takes a lot of the battery and energy from the device. Now, what doesn't the Alta do? Well, this is more of a conversation about the general Fitbit market, the general fitness tracker and smartwatch market. They don't really provide a lot of insight and data other than the hard numbers. A lot of people know, hey, I want to burn this many calories in a day, or I want to hit 10,000 steps in a day. But what does that mean for you? What does that mean for your overall health? And what does that mean for your goals? Now, a lot of these devices don't do a great job. Fitbit has some insight features, the Apple Watch has lots of rewards, but no one, I feel, has really hit the mark yet. Maybe one of these players will, but for now they have not. So it doesn't have super advanced sensors. You can't always trust the heart rate sensor in a wearable device. They're only as good as they as the sensor, right? So sometimes they might be off depending if you're going on a really hard run. Also have to do calibration. And this comes into the sleep component too, because these devices use heart rate to track your sleep. So if you're looking for something that could track your heart rate or your sleep in other ways, there are some machines you can put on your nightstand that it uses your breathing, or like a mat you can put on your mattress pad that could really help analyze your sleep as well. But for a band, the Alta is pretty much as good as you're going to get. They've showed us in their offices a lot of the work they do on making sure the heart rate sensor works, and it's pretty up to par. But if you're a hard athlete, you're not going to get as much accuracy as you would from a chest strap or even a temple strap to indicate what your heart rate is. Another question here. Can you buy the band separately for the Fitbit watches? And can you talk a little bit about the pricing some more and compare those? Sure. So for those just joining us, we're talking about the Fitbit, how it compared to the Apple Watch, how it compares to the rest of the fitness band smartwatch market. So in terms of the pricing here, the Alta is $150, and that's the same as the Charge 2. The difference is that the Charge 2 has a little bit of a bigger screen, a little bit more fitness functionality, as well as connected GPS. That means if you have your phone, you could actually map your runs. The Alta HR, what's new is the sleep tracking and the sleep stages, being able to tell from deep sleep to light sleep to REM, as well as that heart rate sensor that makes the sleep tracking functionality work. This one, the Blaze, has a color screen and it's $200. Now, how does that compare to the Apple Watch? The Apple Watch Series 1 starts at $269. So that's the latest version of the Apple Watch, the faster processor, but without GPS or waterproofing. So that's $269. The Series 2 with GPS and waterproofing is closer to $400, depending on if you get the 38 millimeter or the 42 millimeter device. And yes, you can buy the band separately. So this Alta HR came with a plastic band. It feels great, but I really like the leather one, and you can actually buy this one separately. Now, I mean, the overall fitness industry and smartwatch industry really needs a breakthrough. The Apple Watch did not really get a huge upgrade coming from the first generation to the second generation. It was mostly that faster dual core chip. No LTE, no major upgrades in the activities besides from swimming. But will Fitbit answer that? Well, so far no one has really answered it, but Fitbit does say that they are working on a new smartwatch. They won't talk about timing, but there's been a few reports that it's going to come out as soon as this fall. And we'll see, is Fitbit able to merge their expertise in the heart rate sensors with their expertise in fitness goals and software and put it on a platform with apps? Remember, they purchased Pebble. We had a story about that. They purchased a company that does purchases. So one of the cool Apple Watch features is you can actually make Apple Pay payments with it. Will Fitbit bring that to their smartwatch? So the combination of Fitbit's expertise with the overall smartwatch market, will they be able to pull it off? We'll see, and hopefully we'll be able to show you on a future episode of Gadgets with Gurman. So this was this week's episode. We talked about the Alta HR. Next week we'll have a very special episode, an exclusive, and we're really looking forward to that. So please stay tuned. Thank you.